And my dad's like, look, I mean, my son has special needs. And I was like, what? If my daughter, one of my daughters brings home a guy who's like, he could be the best guy. And I'm like, where are you from originally? And he's like, Pittsburgh. And I'm like, what's your favorite football team? And he's like, the Giants. I'll be like, get out of my house. Get out. I'm not going to like you. I actually like you less that you're lying to me, trying to be a fan of my favorite football team to impress me because you want to date my daughter. If you're not a Steelers fan, get out.
Or maybe his grandfather is from here and raised him to be a Giants fan and taught him that Lawrence Taylor was a god. Like, why is that? You know, I think you're being a little judgy.
I am. Listen, when it comes to my daughter, I'll be a judgy little bitch.
Yeah. But it has nothing to do with you, who he cheers for.
Oh my God. Here we go. Fine. Then you know what?
It's so nice to meet you.
Then you know what? Nice to meet you.
Chris Distefano on
Hello.
the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm judging you for being judgy to
no, but it's okay.
The potential guy in the future.
That's the thing. It's this potential. And this is where my mind goes. I try to stay in the present, right? Like I have a 13-year-old, I have a 9-year-old, and today's my 3-year-old's birthday. Yay! And I actually have to, when we leave, I forgot to get cupcakes. So like if I do not show up to this school with my daughter's cupcakes, I'm gonna be in big trouble.
What time do you have to be at her school?
Like 2:00. But
you can get cupcakes in time, and you might even be able to sweet talk somebody to put like her initial on it or something.
Yeah, V. But with what was I saying? What the hell was I saying? I thought you were the one who didn't get any sleep last night.
Don't tell my secrets. I'm pulling an all-nighter.
You are pulling an all-nighter.
Raced in here just to talk to you. I'm so nervous that I stayed up all night.
Could you imagine being nervous to talk to me? I'm like, anxiety.
Do I look nervous?
No. I feel like you're very like, I mean, you have like a superhero name, Sage Steele.
Okay.
Is that your real name, or did you create that?
It's my porn star name. Yes,
that's a good name.
That's what I've been told. No.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is. Birth certificate, Sage Marie Steele. And then when I got married, I hyphenated because I liked my name so much. I was like, you should take my last name, and he did not. And now I chopped his name off because I'm no longer married. So it's back to
yeah. No, but Sage,
it's a great, strong name. So I feel like I have to be tough. I'm not tough. I mean, I'm tough in some ways, but it's not like.
Here's the thing, though. With a name like Sage Steele, you had to do what you've done. Like you had to be well known. I mean, imagine you were like working, in like an office and being like just in like a sea of cubicles, and your name is Sage Steele. No, you literally you were sometimes like a lot's in a name. That's why like
you're right.
My daughter, my oldest one, her name is Delilah. So Delilah Distefano.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Delilah Distefano.
Delilah Distefano, because we read a thing that said the most amount of female CEOs, the first letter of their first name matches the first letter of their last name. Because it's a very memorable thing. Sage Steele, Delilah Distefano, bang, SS, DD. All makes sense. But then my little one is Violet which is like VD, so that's not good. But what can you do?
Did you not think of that before?
I didn't. But my oldest one is Tristan, TD, touchdown.
Okay, see?
Yeah.
And full circle here.
Yeah.
So we're getting the cupcakes. We're going to race over there.
Is
this like emotional for you? Like with the birthdays as they get bigger?
Yeah, it was. Like I woke up this morning. Every morning I wake up early. I try to wake up before my family, and I read this book, one page of it a day. It's called Meditations for Meditations for Men Who Think Too Much. No, Meditations for Men Who Do Too Much. And so it's like this very specific book. It was like written in the 90s, but everything I read is like it applies to today. So I'm always up early, and I was like, oh, it's my daughter's birthday. Like, she's going to come downstairs, whatever. And I was like, I'll just give her a big hug, happy birthday. And then she came down and with her little blanket, and she was just like looking at me, and I was like, happy birthday, honey. And she was like, thanks, daddy. And I started hysterical crying.
You did?
I started literally hysterical crying to the point where she was like, well, what's wrong with him? Like, did I do something bad?
Mommy, what's wrong with daddy?
I know. She was like, daddy's emotional again. Daddy's an idiot.
So did it surprise you? Your emotions surprise you?
Not really. I cry a lot. Yeah. I'm a guy who I've always been like an emotional, I mean, I literally, when I lost my virginity when I was 17 years old, I started crying.
During?
No, right after. And then that was obviously, she was like, what's happening? I swear to God. she was like, what's happening? And I was like, I don't know. And I couldn't control it. And I started crying. And then she was like, can you just go get me some orange juice? And so I went into the kitchen, got her orange juice. I don't know why she wanted that. And then we just sat there and she was like, do you want to do it again? I was like, yeah, let me just like calm down. And then I calmed down and I couldn't like do it again. And then
you're crying.
Because I was crying. Yeah. This is how wild I am. No, you ready for this? The very first time I ever had sex, I cried, did not use a condom, and just did not pull out. So that was just day one, introduced myself to sex. I was like, here's how I'm going to be high risk as I can, cry about it, and then that girl never talked to me again, rightfully so. That's also another thing in my life.
Wait, that was it? Like
that's it.
No.
We were dating. I was like, this is my girlfriend, I love you. We have sex. One time.
Was she a virgin?
Again. No. That's the thing. I think she was like, I can't deal with this guy. So
I can't help him. Can I ask about the scene that you just set though? Mm-hmm. Because you said she asked me to get up and go to the fridge and get orange juice. Where were you? My house. Your mom.
Like where I grew up, in my mom's house. And I remember.
Mom know this now?
My mom she probably knew. My mom, and I was like, here I am, like this 17-year-old kid just I remember like my pillow was like a big baseball mitt. And it was like big New York Yankees pinstriped sheets. So I was like, like just losing my virginity, crying.
So romantic.
Big baseball mitt. And she was older. She was 19 and I was 17. Is that a crime, actually? If she's 19 and I'm 17?
Yes.
Suing.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. She never called you back.
We were dating and she was just like, she called me like, or whenever we spoke like the next day or two. And she was just like, listen, like I it's not working out, blah, blah, blah. And then
That's not nice.
I mean, we were kids.
I know, but no.
I know.
Like, I think more men need to be like that. Like, do you still cry after sex?
Not after sex as much. I mean, it depends if she straps on the dildo. But
then you're crying happy tears?
Yes, happy, love it. That's what I'm looking for. I don't cry as much, but I am like more sensitive than most of my peers. Yeah. I grew up in a neighborhood like deep in like Queens, Brooklyn, where like I love history, and like because I knew about history and like to learn, because my mother's like very educated woman, like all my friends thought I was gay because I would be like, like I knew like a fact about George Washington. They were like, what do you like, guys? I was like, no, but I do like George Washington. And so I've always been like that kid, that guy that all my friends have always been like, you're like different than the rest of us. You're too sensitive. You like worry about everything. But I think it's because when I was a kid, they would fill my head, my friends, and I would think that I was gay because I knew the state capitals.
You talk about this a lot.
I do.
Like they think I'm gay, or I had to make sure I wasn't gay. Like that. This has been a whole theme for you.
A whole theme, because I think it's because when I was a kid, it's just the neighborhood I grew up in. Like geography is sometimes your destiny. I just grew up in an area where unless you were like knowing about cars, talking about sports all day, girls, your dad's crimes, you just were like, was this guy gay? And I was like, no, my mom's like a fucking Ivy League educated woman, and my dad, got through third grade. So I don't know, I just like liked, I love history. Like this in a couple of weeks, I'm taking my family to Colonial Williamsburg because I'm like, cool. This is what we want to do. And my kids don't necessarily want to do it, but I'm like, listen, I'm going to make this fun. I guarantee you, when I talk to you about colonial America, you're going to love it.
And you do it like that, and they wonder why.
Love it. Yeah, love it. But no, I'm honestly, I've gotten to the point now, whatever, I'm 39. I'm at a great age now where it's like, I'm happy, right? And I don't, especially like in comedy, my career, I kind of don't care anymore, like what people think. I just do what I want to do.
Yes. When did you get there?
Honestly, like the last year.
Really?
Like I wanted to do this podcast because I wanted to like meet you and talk to you. But like if it could be like, you could tell me like, hey, you go on this podcast, it's going to change the course of your career, I'd be like, if I don't want to do it, I'm just not going to. I just don't care anymore. I'm like happy with what I have in my career and my life. I'm so happy and content that like I don't really need any more. Anything else would just be bonus. So I'm only doing what I want to do. So
can I first of all say thank you. That means a lot because I'm new at this and it means a lot. It's a whole new world.
I wanted to come in here and ask if you thought I was gay. That
you are obsessed.
That's the main.
You are obsessed.
No, kidding.
As we talk about your 12 kids and everything else.
Yes.
You know, I love that you're there. You got to that point of not caring a lot sooner than I did. I wish I'd gotten there at 39. Like I'd say it probably was the last year and a half or 2 years, but I'm 51.
What?
So it's completely like it's taken me. It sucks.
Babe, you're not 51.
Oh.
What?
Oh, sadly, yes.
You look like.
But I'm really immature. So that's like the good part is that I can act like a child.
You look 19. You look like you want to take my virginity. And make me cry.
I would not make you get orange juice. How about that?
What would we have?
I cannot. I need a drink before we talk about
she hasn't slept.
What would we have? See, I'm a red wine girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like red wine.
Yeah.
I could do red wine. Sometimes it gives me a headache, but I would deal with it. Just take a couple Advils.
Well, okay, here's the key. You have to get red wine that's not from California or Oregon. You have to go to like Spain, Italy, not go to, right? Go to the local liquor store again.
Right.
And the sulfates, and that's what happens when you get a little bit older too. It's sulfates.
So sulfates are out.
So they're like cleaner wines from different countries, not in the US. And so then I don't get the headaches or crusty eyes if I have that red wine. So there's see, if for no other reason, this is why you came today. So I could teach you about red wine. But what was I going to say? See, you did this.
I did. Suck it, sulfates. Who is your next guest?
No, stop.
Okay.
Let me, there's a lot going on here today. Actually, not much. It was the emotions part. No. It was the not caring.
Right, not caring. I don't care.
Because I think that's the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because it's career-wise, it's personally, if you've got people in your life that are pulling energy from you.
Yes.
It's every aspect and social media where you're like, you know what? You don't like what I posted, that's fine. First of all, I'm not responding anymore.
No.
Like, isn't there an amazing freedom in that?
Here's two things that have like fundamentally changed about me. One, it's when I say I don't care, it's not like I don't care about anything. It's not like this like dejection or depression. It's like a confidence of being like, I just want to do what I want to do. And I want to like be home with my kids and like at home around my family as much as I can and just really like feel fulfilled every day and like not just do something for the money. Like I believe the money will always come second. And then the other thing I've done is because of social media and like, I don't think our brains, my theory, I don't think our brains are designed to take in all this information. We haven't evolved to that yet. So I've made a decision. I don't have like an opinion, positive or negative at all on anyone if I haven't met them. So if I physically have met you, then I can say, here's how I felt in that person's presence, or a family member or a friend. But like when it comes to politics, sports stars, whatever, I just watch it for like entertainment and then I leave it there. Because I have peers that'll get like, their whole day will change based off something a politician said, something a sports star said, something a celebrity said. I'm like, you don't know them. It's insane. It's only the last few years that you even know are even disconnected to them. So like our brains can't keep up with that. So I'm like, yo, if it's not in my jurisdiction, I don't let it affect me.
That's amazing.
At all, like at all. And some people will be like, well, that's, you need to be, as a comedian, like I need to have an opinion on this, opinion on that. I'm like, nah, dude, I think that's the pressure of society making you believe that. I teach my kids as best I can to be as good people and not judge anyone, even though I'll judge their boyfriends of the future. not judge anyone and treat everyone with kindness and respect and like control my little area, as opposed to being like, if I let everything affect me or every person's words affect me mostly on social media, I'll never get anything done. I'll never be happy. Wow. And I'll also, like, I don't know, like if there's a sound bite of you before I met you, I don't know if that was edited, taken out of context. So I'm never gonna, how can I judge you? Now that I physically met you.
Now you can really judge me.
I'm like, yo, let me tell you about my girl, Soul Fight Sage.
She's nuts, don't go. Right?
No, yeah. So but those two things have made me happy.
That's beautiful. And the confidence too, right? And first of all, with what you do, I'm in awe of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've always said this, I can't think of anything that is higher pressure, like more pressure. And people say, oh my gosh, you talk to millions of people every day on TV. I'm like, yeah, and I can't see their eyeballs.
Right.
And I can't see if they don't laugh at my joke.
Right.
Or falling asleep. All of those have happened when I've done public speaking, but that's not what I traditionally do for a living. Like, I think it's fascinating though that throughout all these years that you've been doing that, you're kind of just now getting to that point. So how, through all those years, did you manage that?
Failing. I failed so many. Even now, I fail so much more than I succeed. So like after a while though, it gets to the point where one thing I realized just specifically about comedy, it's probably can apply to other parts of life, but specifically with comedy is I'm doing like the best comedy. The audience has the best time when I do it for me, not for them. So when I just do it for me, like I used to look out at the audience and be like, this crowd looks like they want to hear about this, or this crowd is mostly, Asian people. So they want to hear about this. This is, a black crowd. They want to have me do this or whatever, or crowd in Connecticut. They want me to talk about this. And I would do that, right? And some shows would go well, some shows would go bad, but I always felt like, I never felt good. I always felt like I couldn't articulate it, but there was something like phony about it all. And I would constantly be like, because the thing with comedy is like, there's no barometer of entry. So like, we all kind of feel phony a bit. Like you're in the NBA because you made one of the NBA teams. So you can confidently say I'm a professional basketball player because I made the Lakers or whomever. Comedians, it's like people, I don't know if I've made it or not. There's really, I know Kevin Hart has made it, but you might talk to Kevin Hart and be like, well, I don't really feel like I did anything until I can surpass like Richard Pryor's or George Carlin stuff. So like, there's no real way of knowing. You have to kind of convince yourself I've made it. And so for me now, I do what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to change who I am or my comedy or what I had prepared for that night. If I see the audience, I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. I'm doing the comedy for me. It's cathartic for me. And then I feel like that energy transfers and then the crowd has a better time, no matter what I'm talking about.
How is it cathartic?
Because I think there's a lot of times where I feel blessed to be a comedian, especially in today's world, because I think there's a lot of things that people feel like they can't say. But I say it, like that's my career.
Love it.
So I'll say it, and I'll say, I think like the trick though is people will say something, I think you can't be hateful and funny, and I think people miss that. Like Hitler couldn't have been funny because he was too hateful. So I think that's why some comedians get in trouble because they don't realize like what you said, you made some type of statement, but there was no joke attached to it. And that's not my job. I don't feel like that's not my job is to say what you're thinking and put it in a palatable way where it's like funny to as many people as possible. Anybody can go out and make some racist joke or political joke. It's like, it's all kind of hacky bullshit. But how can I like thread the needle and like step up to the line, like right up to that line and not cross it? That's a great joke. Today's world, people always think like, you're crossing a line, and this whole, cancel culture has been talked about a million times. I don't think it's as real as people make it out to be. It's you just keep moving on, and everything, people are going to like you, not like you. It's like goes up and down. So I think cancel culture has been a little bit like, not blown out of proportion, but I think that now, specifically comedians, I feel like that's the only part I'm like an expert in, the only thing I could talk about confidently. A lot of comedians are using cancel culture for their careers, and that's becoming like very hacky to the group where we're like, if you're going up there talking about you're canceled and you're most likely it's because you've said something stupid that most comedians are like, well, it wasn't funny. That's the thing with us. For me, my only thing is you need to be funny. But
that's subjective.
Sure. But to comedians, like we know, like our little panel of comics, like the ones who've been doing it for a while, we know like what is funny and what's not. And typically you'll find comedians who like do well and keep moving forward and who are like, kind of, even if they've been canceled, have come back. It's because they're funny. Like they're funny. So it's like, and it's actually done I personally think cancel culture has done a good thing For us, because it's made us all put our careers in our own hands. So we have podcasts, we have the internet, we have our own fans who love us. It used to be, well, you know, a TV network could take your whole life away because of something you said, and everybody would stay in this box. But now it's not necessary. Now it's like, well, you know, if I think what I'm saying is funny and it's not coming from a hateful place, then I'll say whatever I want. My fans like me and they'll support me. I don't really need the network to, I'm not gonna say what you want me to say because you want to sell ads for Colgate toothpaste. I don't care about that anymore. If you want me on your network, you have to take me as me.
It's flipped.
It's flipped. But I will say, like right now, I have a potential sitcom going to come out on a network. And for me, it's actually a beautiful challenge to like, I have one area where I can say like literally whatever I want. It doesn't matter. But then I have this other area where it's like, can I be as funny as that way? But I put myself in a box. Like I'm like, can I go on network television and make you laugh at jokes about my family when I'm not saying anything, I'm not cursing, I'm not making any like outrageous jokes. It's like just like good, wholesome comedy, like Everybody Loves Raymond. What I love about Everybody Loves Raymond and Ray Romano, why he's always been like an idol of mine, is because, I mean, you know, it's a little bit personalized to me. He's from Queens. He's an Italian guy. It's like me. But what I love about him watching now is like when I watch his show, he was making everybody laugh. Everybody Loves Raymond. Everybody of all walks of life were laughing. No politics. Just a funny family with funny problems that are highly relatable. No politics. No cramming in a character to check off a box. None of that. The same thing as Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby's, when you watch the Cosby Show, I laughed as hard at Cosby, even though I wasn't black, but I was like, it's just family problems that I'm identifying with.
Yes.
No politics.
Right.
You know?
I haven't watched a sitcom in probably a decade.
Well, you'll watch mine.
Hell yeah, I'll watch
I'm going to do a whole episode about sulfates.
What's the name? What's the name of it?
I don't know yet. We don't have a name yet. For me, I don't think the name, I know some people think the name is so important, and I guess in a way it is, but I'm really just focused right now on what the episodes are. But
so you're far along in this process.
Yeah, pretty far along.
And is it like you have co-stars and family and like what's the?
So that it's a family. It's going to be a family sitcom about my life. You know, growing up, how I grew up. Really about like parenting. A big thing for me is because I think it's. I always say like, my father always had the right intentions but the wrong moves, and today being a parent is so radically different than like when he was a parent. Like the way that he parented me, he just couldn't do that today. He couldn't do it.
Right.
And what's interesting is I would see my father out there with no filter at all, shooting from the hip. And when my dad would walk down the street in my neighborhood, every like race, religion, culture, creed loved my dad. They love him because he was just so honest. And everyone's like, Tony, that's my guy. Where today, I feel like a lot of times, like we walk on eggshells and you see a lot of people like fighting all the time. And I don't see as many people being like, that's my guy, because everyone's so scared to offend. Everyone's so scared to, what could happen to me. And I like I said, I just feel blessed being a comedian because I'm like, I don't really have to live like that. Because if I made a joke that like you didn't like, that'd be okay. And then if you tried to take my career from me, what would happen most likely is you would just make me bigger, because
that's what has happened more recently.
Yeah.
Because I do think I agree that cancel culture now isn't as effective and isn't as damaging, but it was.
It was.
For a while there.
Yes.
And I always say that I understand the fear why people just stay, because I stayed silent for a long time too. It's easier, it's safer.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you're like, oh, whoa, now I got a family to support. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've actually heard other comedians say COVID and that whole time around it and right after is what changed? Is like the time frame? Or do you think it was before then?
I think that we were trending in that direction. I think honestly, like obviously like the whole country got kind of flipped around. And when Trump got elected 2016, it was like everybody's emotions were like, people were picking sides, choosing sides, this whole thing. And things got kind of like wild. And then the pandemic happened. I feel like it was a bit of a fever pitch those first few months. And then people started to like settle in a little bit. And the thing with comedy is everybody was at their computer. So everybody was home. So we had the opportunity to like put our comedy out there, and we had so many eyeballs on us, like the most eyeballs in history. Everybody had something going. And I feel like, you know, the pandemic happened. People got really scared. Things were locked down. People started to think like, you know, is it like, am I going to spend all my energy trying to like ruin someone else's life? And some people still do it. Again, like you said, it's smaller. It's still around, but again, it's just not. And I think what happened is like, I don't know one example of someone who wasn't a criminal. I'm not talking about like the Harvey Weinsteins of the world. I mean, you know, we have like laws. So like if you were a criminal, you got put away. But I don't know one person who like got their career taken away of like a trial by Twitter that hasn't come back. That wasn't an actual criminal. Most people are back in some way. You know, financially, maybe they don't have the career they once had, but they found a way to like, this whole idea of like, I'm going to take your whole life away. It's like, you know, you can be mad at someone for what they've said. It's like, you're not going to make that person homeless in the streets. I know that's your goal. It's just not going to happen. There's too many people who there's too many people who agree with whatever so-and-so said. But I think like what's a big thing is like, you know, we have, you know, discourse. We can have discourse. And I think the beautiful thing about our country is we can agree to disagree. And, you know, you're not going to make me think like you. And that was like America. And now it kind of feels like if I disagree with one thing about you, I can't be your friend. And to me, that was always stupid. It's like, I like you. I would like you for you. I don't care who you voted for. That's one thing about you. It's like, I don't care.
GoodRanchers.com is the place to get 100% American meat for your summertime needs. So whether you're hosting a backyard barbecue, a pool party, a beach bonfire, whatever it is, Good Ranchers has you covered. In fact, right now you can save on Good Ranchers meat like never before. Subscribe to any Good Ranchers box now and get $100 off plus free smoked brats for an entire year. Yeah, it's more than just a great deal. It's a chance to celebrate America by supporting American family farms and enjoying the highest quality American meat. All you have to do is go to GoodRanchers.com and subscribe to any of their custom curated boxes filled with 100% American beef, chicken, pork, or wild-caught seafood. Use my code SAGE at checkout to get $100 off and free smoked brats for a year. I mean, if you need any other reason to support Good Ranchers, they're not only amazing partners of my show, they also support the paralyzed veterans of America, too. And as an Army brat, you know I'm all about that. Every order saves American farms and supports American veterans. Change the way you buy meat today at GoodRanchers.com with my code SAGE to claim your $100 off, plus your free brats for a year. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered.
You know, people are going to be different.
Sure.
Isn't that the beauty of us? Just because we have the same skin color or the same religion or our neighbors, we should all, same neighborhood, we should all, no. Actually, that's so close-minded. That's racist and sexist and all of the things, to think that we all have to agree based on this one thing.
Yeah, and comedy is like the great equalizer with that. Like you'll go out and do a show and you'll say something crazy and you'll watch all these people like laugh in unison from all different like backgrounds. Where when you go to the comedy clubs, sometimes you're like, wait, what's real? Is this real where everyone's getting along, or is outside real when you turn on the news and they say everyone's fighting? Because I'm like, when you come
I think it's inside.
When you come to this comedy club, it's like, you know, nobody's fighting. They're all just laughing, having a good time. And we're saying nuts shit down there sometimes, you know, like crazy, crazy things.
I think it's that I always say this to my kids as well. There's so much more good.
Oh my God, yeah.
Everywhere. People smile. People are helpful. People hold doors.
Yeah.
I think it's just, unfortunately, the media. Like I always said to athletes for 100 years, like, I see why you hate the media. And I understand, like, why you don't trust me. I will prove that you can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you said earlier, it's easy for them to take things out of context. But here, listen to the soundbite.
Right.
And then, if you know me and you have a question about something I said, like, ask or pick up the phone or text or tweet or whatever it might be. But if you immediately go, oh my gosh, this out, I believe that is the social media universe and media in general that wants to divide. Which
Of
that's a whole
course.
other conversation
Of
about like
course.
the darkness
Yes.
in some people.
Of course.
They want us to fight. Like, what
Well,
is
how would
that?
they make any money if they solve
You're
the
right.
problems? Then
You're
they
right.
don't make any money. If there's no racism, sexism, nationalism, then they'll lose money. Where you're watching because you want to see whatever you think your side is represented. So also social media, these bots, like these fake accounts that are causing, I don't know if it's from another country. It could be, I have no proof of. What I do know though is you say something crazy to me about like how much you hate my comedy. If I ever do respond, I respond and be like, send me a video, DM me of you saying that. I want to see, and then 99% of the time, either they're too pussy to say it, but what's more likely is they're not real. They're a bot that's in their cause, looks like a real account, acts like a real account, not real, being controlled in Moscow.
And think about people who aren't realizing that,
Yeah.
who are taking what that bot said and letting it affect.
That's what I'm saying.
And our kids.
Yeah.
Like, I've, 3 college-age kids. The fact that they allow that in, and I mean, that's why back in the day that you were describing with your dad when he would say whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
Like, I miss those days.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was different. And there were repercussions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then in the meantime, in the summer, do not come home.
Well, I used to say it on stage too. I mean, I think we got to start hitting people again.
I do too.
I mean, I would I never really run my mouth like that because I was punched in the face a lot. And so it's easy for like a keyboard warrior kid to say something 100%. In cyberspace and think that they're so profound. It's like, no, dude, you won't, if I hit you and you get up and still say that, I'll believe.
Yes.
But most likely you're not. Most likely you're mad from your mother's toilet in the basement. So like you're not, so none of there's no real repercussions. So yeah, I think though that the more people now, and not everybody yet, but more people now know this stuff. They know about the bots. They know about social media dividing. They know about it. I think, more people now, like there's this generation of kids like maybe like 22 to like 28 that like got sucked in bad with the social media and they got all screwed up. But the younger kids, like my 13-year-old, does not want social media because he's like, well, I saw like what it does. He told me, he was like, I saw what it did to like you and mom. Wow. And I saw like you guys are always buried in your phones. Like they think it's cool now if you have social media to follow nobody. Like we used to be like, how many followers can you get? How many people can you follow? Now it's cool to follow nobody.
Wow.
So
he's the perfect age.
He's better because he's seeing like the negative. He saw the negative side of it.
Yeah.
I feel like me at 39, I definitely got sucked in. Absolutely. But I was at that age where I was old enough to be like, I can see that this is bad.
Right.
But like mid-20s, it's their whole life. It's their whole identity.
It's everything. But you know what? I really believe this. I've witnessed it with my kids. At COVID time, they were so like 18, 16, 14. Mm-hmm. And we're shut down. They're not in schools. They can't do sports. They can't play with friends. I play with friends at 17. You know what I mean? Like hang out. They can't do anything. So they're stuck in the house.
Right.
And that's what they had. And their only means of communication with their friends was that. Because kids don't text anymore.
No.
They snap. Right?
Yes.
And so if they don't have that, and during that time when there was nothing else, like I totally hate the parent that I was then, even though I was doing I was aware, I was trying, I also was essential worker.
Yeah.
Not really, but I mean, I still go on TV every day.
I needed you.
It wasn't like, I was there for you, you apparently were not watching.
You were, I was watching.
Send me a video in my DM.
I will.
Right, from 100 years ago. But like, that time broke my heart because that's all they had. That's all a lot of us had.
Right.
Was your tie to the outside world when you couldn't leave. Yeah. And so I feel like I lost my kids a little bit then. Right. They know it too, like they felt it too, and they're old enough now to try to come back from that.
Yeah.
But during that time, I mean, remember that's when all the bad like TikToks with moms and dads trying to dance came out too. Like it was funny for a minute, and then it's like, put the knife down. Right.
Well, I think like a lot of families now have instituted like a rule, like after 6 p.m., like nobody can have their phones out. And we try to stick to that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
depends on the age.
Yeah. I don't have, my middle one is 9. She doesn't have I'm not going to get her a phone for a couple of years. But I think that too, another thing is like young kids like talking to each other and like kind of same kind of thing where they'll say something like, especially like boys and girls, say something like wild that they would never say to that girl or boy's face.
Exactly.
And then you have like these kind of teenage pregnancies on the rise and all these things because you feel like you know someone after 3 days because you're telling them your deepest, darkest thoughts because of the phone. So that be a thing too that I would want my daughters to know as they get older. Like, I don't want you, like if you like a boy, I want you talking to him in person.
Yes.
Talk to this kid in person. No texting because it's like
stop with the text.
Yeah, because that's what happened. And then next thing you know, it's 2 days into a relation. 2 days into knowing someone, you feel like your best friends. You
give them everything.
You give them everything. Yeah. So I'm like, that's a thing that I think is important. And I mean, it's even happened to me. Like I've been through times where I'm like, going through my career, DMing with people who I don't know. You start to get into this DM relationship with them. Next thing you know, you're like, I'm giving this person, I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
But
trusting.
But our brains again have not adapted yet. My brain is saying, oh, I know, I'm talking to them. My brain doesn't know that I'm not physically talking to them. My brain just thinks they must be right in front of you. You just sent them your dick.
Yeah. I haven't experienced any of that.
Well, no. You will.
No.
It's happening.
No.
Do not DM Sage your dick.
Great. Now, do you know what you just did?
I know. Well, send me the top 3 ones you get. Send me any funky looking ones. I want to see a nice uncircumcised one with a wart.
Oh my gosh. How has circumcision come up on 2 of the shows I've done in the last couple of weeks?
Who talked about circumcision?
Howie Mandel went deep on circumcision.
Howie Mandel would. Oh, Howie.
I'm like, wait, I can't even begin to explain the context because he pulls things out of thin air, and it did not go well.
Howie's
and it was
a wild
hysterical.
man.
Absolutely hysterical, right?
Did you go? Were you in his studio in LA?
He's in my studio.
Oh, he was in your studio.
Kidding.
There you go.
I'm kidding. No, ours is in his big studio. He gave us a little corner, so that's where the home studio is.
I love it. That little that box thing he has where you can that hologram machine.
Yeah,
nuts.
That is so cool. You need to come out.
I will.
Because his whole setup is awesome, the whole hologram.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, but this isn't about Howie. He already had his show. Here's my question
fuck
for you.
Howie.
Stay off, and I'm not talking about circumcision ever again in my life.
Okay.
Therapeutic. Like you said that word, and it just made me think. And then you mentioned your father.
Yes.
And what was it? It was a great line about he had his intentions.
He always has the right intentions, but the wrong moves. Meaning
handle.
He would he would tell me, he would want me to have the best life, but sometimes he would handle it the wrong way. But it's where comedy comes from. I remember I tell this story in my act where we were at Dwight Gooden's no-hitter in 1996 in Yankee Stadium, and he wanted us to get better seats because we were in the upper deck. So he his intention was, I just want my son to be behind home plate for Dwight, a Yankee Stadium no-hitter.
I can't believe you were there for that.
I was there.
How cool is that?
It was amazing. And it was the 8th inning, and he goes, we got to get better seats. So I was like, all right, well, just my dad's like, just follow me.
Oh God, this makes me nervous already.
So we go down, and the security guard, and he's like, my son sit in those seats, and they had 2 empty seats, and the guy was like, no. He was like, well, just 1 inning, let us sit in the seats. And then the guy was like, you can't. You go back up to the seats or get out, whatever. And my dad's like, all right. He goes, but look, my son has special needs. And I was like, what? And he didn't tell me that. And I was like, do I? And then I wasn't sure. I was a little kid. And then the security, and this also gave me a complex. Again, the security guard looked at me, and he was like, go ahead, you guys can sit wherever you want. Go ahead, you two. He was like, and he rubbed my head. He was like, have a good day, buddy. Go Yankees. I was like, great. And so I swear to God, so we watched the no-hitter right there. We watched the no-hitter in the night, and we saw the whole game, the last 2 innings no-hitter, right? You can go Google Doc Gooden's no-hitter. You'll see me in the crowd. And so the intention was fantastic by my father.
Yes, it was.
He wanted my son to have but the move was
not funny, and I'm hysterical.
Yeah, because you'll get arrested for that today. He had special needs.
And the guy pats you on the head.
And that was the best part, is the guy kind of immediately bought it. He was like, oh, of course, I should have noticed. I was just sitting there, my stupid mushroom haircut. There you go.
Oh my God, I'm visualizing the whole thing. Then when you said, "Do I?" Like
Do
you
I?
said that out loud.
Yeah, I did. And so that's just how,
So that's not an ideal way, not a great example as a parent, as a
No.
father, to say this is how we're going to get our way. We're going to lie.
Right.
Yes.
But my dad would do that throughout my childhood. But the bottom line is, I love my father.
Yeah.
He showed me, like, this is how much I love you. I'm willing to do anything to give you like the best experience.
That's his way.
That's his way. So I know, I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying, like, I kind of feel like he, the way, what he showed me was like, you just love your kids.
Yeah.
And he showed me too, he was like, because him and my mom divorced when I was like 1. I never heard that guy say one bad thing about my mom. Never.
Awesome.
Maybe he did to his friends or whatever, but in front of me, he was always like, your mother. He was like, we have and he's been remarried to my stepmom, who's a wonderful person for 30 plus years. But he always would say, he was like, I obviously love, your stepmother, my wife, great life with her. He was like, but I had a child with your mom. So even though your mom and I didn't work out, she's always like an extremely important woman in my life. And I would always treat her with the utmost respect. So I would always like, and then sometimes I would hear like some of my friends, divorced dads, like talk so much crap about the mom. And I would be like, wow, that's like a different experience. My dad just would never do that. And I know they had problems, they got divorced. I'm sure they didn't love each other, but like, or at least fell out of love with each other and didn't like each other as they used to. But my dad was a great example of like, hey, this is, my dad was like, she gave me you. So like, you're my gift. So like, how could I talk ill of her, even though we didn't work out? So it was always like that good example of he was just like a good example of a dad, and also divorced dad. He lived on Staten Island. I live in Queens. It's like 2 hours he didn't drive.
Oh, is it?
On
Really?
the train and the ferry. You have to take a boat. Like this guy would have to take a boat to see his kid. Never missed Wednesdays. He would be there every Wednesday.
Really?
I never remember one time in my life my dad missing a time to come see me. And then every weekend, he would take the ferry and the train to come get me Friday night and then bring me back Sunday. And it was like
every weekend?
Every weekend. I never remember my father missing.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So sometimes too, when I'll see like, there was a time where I co-parented with my girl. We were co-parenting, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, I got like really nervous about it at first, but then I was like, oh, all I have to do is do what my dad did. Just show up for my kids.
Show up.
That's all you got to do.
All they want.
So when I'll hear like fathers sometimes, like even some of my peers who like do comedy, like, I wish I could go see my kid, but I got this, and this. I'm like, no, they're choosing. You see your kid, you should say, I wish I could do the other things, but I'm seeing my kid. So that's the way sometimes my agents can't believe like the things that I turn down in my career, because I'm like, yeah, I know I'd make a good money, but I'd have to miss like 3 weeks of my kid's life. And I'm like, I just can't do that. Like, I don't want to do it. And they're like, oh, but but then like, you do this thing and then you can have the summer off. I'm like, no, you'll find something for me to do in the summer, which I'm not going to want to do. I was like, and then I'm never going to get this time back. So I was like, and I thought I had this plan of like, I'll turn down things now, unless it's like in New York and I can get back to my kids, and I'll like be in their life when they're like a lot when they're little, because then when they get older, they're not going to want to be around me, and that's when I'll go do these things. And then I sat down with Louis C.K., my favorite comic, and he was like, listen, I get that. He was like, I have kids in their 20s. He goes, and I'd argue that the time is even more precious because they're only going to have like an hour a week of time when they can even fit you in, because you're right, they're going to want to go with their friends. So if you're on the road and you're doing that thing and you miss that hour, you may not see your kids for like months. So he was like, I just think life's about balance, right? He was like, so then I came up with this plan. You know what I'll do then? I'll do like 1 week a month, 1 weekend a month. I'll take gigs and go away. And then the other 3 weekends I'll be home. So there will be some things that it's just life being a parent. You will miss certain things, never huge events in their life I would never miss. But like, I hate to miss like a mundane Thursday because I want to just like, Jerry Seinfeld said, everyone always talks about the quality time with their kids, but Jerry was like, I want the garbage time. I want the time when like it's not quality, it's just a random day and like people are sitting around reading books or watching YouTube, but I want to be around them then as well. So I feel that. So I'm trying to like
Very
strike
aware.
a balance and trying to be like aware as I can. And yeah, but here I am today doing a podcast with you on my daughter's birthday.
Do not say that again. Major guilt, but she's in school.
She's in school. That's the thing. See, that's what, if you were like, hey, I could only do 3 o'clock, I'd be like, Sage, huge fan, want to drink red wine with you, can't do it.
Exactly.
But when you said 10 a.m., I was like, perfect, my daughter's napping anyway.
Honestly.
With no cupcakes in school.
Honestly, yes. And wait, you have to make them, you can't make them from scratch, by the way. You have to go and show them all the ingredients so then certain kids don't, go into anaphylactic shock because of the allergies. I forgot about that. Right? Make sure you bring the ingredients on the back. Trust me, you'll get thrown out.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to. You're so wise, I feel like, for your age.
39.
Boy. No,
yes, I am
like
a little
the little special needs.
Aw, thank you.
No, you are. You're so wise with the way that you choose to look at your career.
Yeah.
And turning down gigs and being super present for everybody in your life that means something.
Well, here's the thing, is my mom and I used to fight all the time. Well, not fight, but I wouldn't talk back to her. But my mom would be like, she was always on me about education. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to be like a student like you. I don't want to do that.
But you ended up being a student like her.
That's the thing. So I was like, I'm going to be creative. I want to do this. I want to do that, whatever. And she was like, listen, just get your education. Like, just get your education. It will be, she was like, if you want to go out and do creative stuff, I'm fine with that. She's like, but you need a net and you need a really strong net. Because if you fall, you need something to catch you. She was like, so that's, the net is your education. So I begrudgingly did it. I went all the way to college. Then I got a doctorate degree in physical therapy, graduate school.
Insane.
So I did all this stuff, right? And I did it for my mom, knowing that I'm like, I'm going through 3.5 years of graduate school, but I'm leaving. I'm going to do comedy. I'm like, I'm doing it. And so I would do all these things, whatever. My mom, kind of started to get the idea. She was like, oh, wow, he's like going out there, he's doing comedy, whatever. And she was upset at first. She was like, you were a doctor, now you're a clown. I don't understand. and so.
Dr. Chris.
And then so once I left and to do comedy, it took a little while, but then she started to accept it all. And now she's like cool with my career, whatever. But I feel like I take these chances of doing gigs and not doing things because I kind of see it the way my mom sees it now, where I'm like, even if I lost my career tomorrow, or even if, the gigs dried up, I'd be like, well, I could still like raise my family and be really happy being a physical therapist. I was a pediatric physical therapist, worked with mentally and physically handicapped kids. I loved my job with them. But I love what I do now and I want to continue to do it and, push the boundaries if I can. But I don't think I would take this many chances of like saying no to things if I didn't have the degree, the backup. So my mom, I'm realizing all these things as I get older, where I'm like, oh, my mom was right.
And it wasn't that she didn't believe in you, right? She had a fear that you wouldn't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always tell,
that's how us moms are, right?
That's the thing. Well, I realize that now. Like sometimes like I'll do college gigs. And which are tough today, but I take the NCAA tournament approach. I'm like, these college gigs, survive in advance, do the show, 100%. Get the check, take all of, Notre Dame's money and get the hell out of there.
Get out.
Let these kids, like, they're going to go nuts.
Be crazy,
Let them protest. I'm like, do whatever you want, kids. I'm getting that money. I'm getting the fuck out of here. So I put that in my kids' college fund. So,
exactly.
But I always tell them that, because they always ask questions at the end. Or in college shows, I always say, do you guys want to ask questions? And I'll always get like a question like, oh, what's one thing like that I should know for my future? And I'll always say that what I learned, my experience, and it's not a bad thing. Sometimes the people closest to you, your family, are going to be the ones who appear at first to believe in you the least, because all they want for you is safety.
Yes.
All my mother and my family wanted was a safe route. They're like, you have this degree, you're a physical therapist, you have money, you're making a salary, you have a health insurance. Like,
yes.
Please don't take this unbelievable risk what if you don't make it? So it comes off as like they don't believe in you. That's how it comes off, but it's not that they don't believe in you. They just want what's best for you. And what's best for you is safety and just doing like kind of being as safe as possible. But not everybody wants to be safe. I mean, I had unprotected sex and didn't pull out the very first time I had sex. I'm not safe. I wanna be free and do crazy stuff and take big chances. With that being said, though, I do think like I want my daughters to I want my kids to do the same. Take chances, go fulfill. I want their life to feel like my life. My life feels, every day of my life feels like a Sunday. Days of the week are meaninless to me.
But that's because you took a chance.
Took a chance, but also had the safety net of the education.
Yes.
So I'm a big believer in that. I know, I'm not saying, for me, I believe in college, right? But do it like, like your own way. And I don't believe that you have to go to like an Ivy League. I don't think going to Harvard matters as much today as going to some other school.
Right.
But I think like get your education just to educate yourself.
The fact that you got your doctorate, like that's another level.
That's a little nuts, but whatever. I was upset. I went to school 25 years in a row straight. I was
by choice.
The
first 18, fine, but then you kept going.
Then I kept it going.
And here, you want my money? More money?
That's it, more money. Well, mom's money. But
there you go.
But I paid that off, paid her back. So yeah, I kind of feel like I take these chances because I feel whatever happens, I make it in comedy, great. If I don't, then I go do physical therapy. I like that too,
The risk taking is everything. And I think, again, as a parent, and then you need to go get cupcakes here. I'm watching the clock.
What time is it?
It is, it is exactly 11 a.m. Eastern time.
All right,
it's about that time.
It's about that time.
For him to go. But I want to end on, I just don't want you to gloss over, I think, those amazing decisions that you've made, because yes, it's for you and for your heart and what you love, but it's also that example that you're setting for those 3 kids.
Yeah.
To see it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean every day is going to be a good, easy day, right?
No.
And they don't understand what it took to get through 25 years of school first and then to do this. And
my kids, honestly, all they think of me right now is they just don't think I'm funny.
Exactly.
They just, like my daughter, my 3-year-old, well, now she's 3 today, I put on my comedy special a few weeks ago. And, she never sits still. She was, she's 2, 3, does not sit still. Like you could put on her favorite show. I could put on Coco Melon. She'll watch it for 5 seconds and run away. I put on my comedy special. She sat there and watched it the entire time. She just sat there looking at the TV, didn't laugh once, turned around, I swear, and goes, I don't get it. And then sat on the couch. And then we put on Miss Rachel and had a good time. And then my other kids are just like, yeah, I don't get I don't get what you're saying.
You're like, no, let me tell you who does get it.
Yeah.
Do you see my friends over here?
Yeah,
they're paying me so we can live like this?
We can live like this. I know.
You're welcome.
I feel like my parents, my family, even my friends, only strangers. Like my family and friends are like, yeah, we don't really know what you're saying.
It's just,
I'm like,
what do you mean they don't know what you're saying?
I mean, they know what I'm saying, but I don't think.
Have they heard it before? Is it a tired act?
Maybe. Well, because a lot of times, by the time it gets to the stage, I've already said these things to them. They don't, a lot of times, we'll just be hanging out at a bar and I'm doing, I'm making my material as conversational as I can. And they don't know that I'm doing this, seeing if they're laughing naturally in combo.
Consciously taking mental notes about what.
I'm trying.
Do you still get butterflies? Where
oh my God, of course.
Right?
I feel like you have to.
Yes, or else you don't care.
Or else I don't care. So I feel more comfortable now. I'll get those butterflies and they go away a little sooner, but I always get them. And to be honest with you, a lot of people say like you mentioned, it's high pressure, making people laugh. For me, I don't know why, the calmest, if you had a blood pressure cuff on me, the calmest and lowest my blood pressure will be all day is when I'm on stage. When I'm on stage.
What about right before?
Right before, through the roof, cardiac arrest.
Okay, same thing. And again, TV camera, different from the audience, but I'd feel that adrenaline and it's I don't feel so good. I have to use the bathroom. This is annoying. Why do I do this stupid career? And then you go on and you're like, hell yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
There's something in that adrenaline rush. It's it's an addiction.
It's an addiction. So, because I played basketball in high school, college, Division III. So it's did it really count?
Come on,
but still play.
Yes.
But so I would get these positive endorphins, looking forward to the game, the practice, and then I had to replace that in my life.
Yeah.
Somewhere, so I replaced it with comedy. So comedy is my Division III basketball.
Okay. No, I think it's D1. It's just
You
you were
think so?
busy. You were just busy focusing on being a pediatric physical therapist.
I'm a Division III basketball player, a Division I comedian.
Okay, I like
That's
that.
it.
I love that one. Finally, you've made it, right?
What? Well, I'm sitting down with Sage Steele. How have I not made it?
I mean, now you can die. It's all good.
Seriously. I'm going to kill myself on 8th Avenue when I leave just because it's not going to get better than this.
Someone will probably kill you out on 8th Avenue, actually, as we were discussing.
That would suck. That would ruin my daughter's birthday.
Okay, your city, well, that's okay. We'll talk about that another time. Your city, let's work on it because I love the city. It needs to get back to where it was.
Yes.
But
we're going to get back.
Look, you mentioned the sitcom thing right on the edge of happening.
Hopefully, yeah.
The shows you're doing, and most importantly, your ability to choose to do what you want to do professionally, and then to be able to go and bring cupcakes or to be there for summer vacation for whatever. Like, isn't that making it? How do you define it at this age?
So I think for me now, I realized that in my own, for my kind of own category of making it, I feel like I've made it because what I've said earlier, like every day of my life just feels like a Sunday afternoon. And once the day, I realized the main thing I realized I made it. When I don't look at the clock at all. I have not looked at a clock to be like, when am I going to get out of here? In years. And so that to me, I don't think you need to be an entertainer or an athlete or whatever. If you can get to that level of happiness or comfort with your job where you don't need the clock, doesn't matter, the days of the week don't matter, then I think you've really made it. You know, I hate to hear when someone says they hate their job. I'm like, then you gotta do something else then.
Choice.
Because like the money will come. I remember one thing that happened to me too, like when I was a little kid, I had mono, because I was a slut, I was kissing everyone. I had mono, the kissing disease. I was an 8th grade slut. I was kissing everyone.
That's a good kind of slut.
And my mom had gout. My mom was like laying, I don't know, like we were both laid up on the couch. I had mono.
Mono and gout.
Felt like I was gonna die. And my mom had a flare up of gout like she's King Henry, just laying there. And so she got cable. We didn't have cable TV. We were like late in the game for cable. My mom was like, you know what? I'm all banged up with gout. You have mono. I'm going to get us cable. We're locked in this couch and get us cable. So we get cable. And then my mom loved Oprah. She would watch it all the time. And then we missed it somehow. Maybe I was sick, her foot, I don't know. But we saw like a rerun of Oprah on some like random cable station. And Oprah said, we were watching it. And I don't know why I was just like paying attention at this moment. She was like one of the early episodes talking to Dr. Phil, like when Dr. Phil wasn't even he was just like a guest of hers. And she said, she was talking about passion. And she was like, remember one thing. She was like, and if anyone's going to hear anything I said today, remember this thing, the money always comes second. It's the passion first, the money second. And that's what all you need to know in life. Passion first, money second. And that's kind of how stayed with me. So now I'm like, oh, I would never do something if I didn't want to do it. Because I believe if it's passion, the money will come. Yeah. In some way it'll come.
Your kids are lucky to have you as that example. Seriously.
Well, now what's going to happen if I get killed by a crazy person on 8th Avenue?
So why are you going negative? Why are you glass half full?
Because that's the thing. That's my Catholic guilt. Because I'm feeling too positive with you. So if I don't even it out.
Should I not compliment you anymore?
Yes. Can you please just tell me I'm a piece of shit?
Sorry. I will say this, we might be related.
How?
Well, no, because you're half Irish, half Italian. My mother's half Irish, half Italian.
Really?
My grandmother's name, so we get the Italian.
Right.
My grandmother, and Irish, my grandmother's name was Filomena Lina di Portola.
So how could that even...
Obviously, I'm Italian.
Italian.
You saw me, that's what you thought.
But how would we related?
I mean, all half Irish, half Italian people must be related. They think the same, and yeah.
Won't stop me.
The best.
What that meant.
And you're really funny, too.
You think so?
I think you should.
I didn't feel as funny today, but appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go get some cupcakes.
Good.